جنرال جیمز جونز، مشاور پیشین امنیت ملی اوباما: طرح 10 ماده‌ای خانم رجوی به طور کامل دموکراتیک است. مطلقاً تضمین می‌کنم که اکثر رهبران نظامی آمریکا گفتند هیچ نشانی از این که سیاست این گروه تروریستی باشد ندیدند. همین چند هفته قبل کمپ آنها موشکباران شد. 7 نفر جان باختند و حدود 100 نفر مجروح شدند. این چیزی نیست که از نظر من جامعه بین المللی آن را از دولت مالکی تحمل کند. گفتگوی جنرال جونز با تلویزیون CNN 11 مارس 2013 21 اسفند 1391.
One thing the president, I believe in your view, may be overlooking is what's happening right now in Iraq when it comes to...
I'm sorry, in Iran?
In Iraq. When it comes to the refugees. What is that issue?
Well, this is you're talking about some Iranian refugees that have been living in Iran for a long time. And of late, they've been somewhat persecuted by the Iraqi government. And the issue is that in 2003, when we invaded Iraq, we went to this camp. It was then called Camp Ashraf. There was about 4,000 refugees living there. Mm-hmm. These were refugees that are in violent opposition to the regime in Tehran right now and have been for a long time. We asked them to surrender their weapons and lay down their arms, and in return for which the U.S. Army, the U.S. forces guaranteed their security. That was a deal that lasted until 2009. In 2009, when things were turned over to the Iraqi government, the whole sovereignty was restored, mm-hmm. and it became clear that we were going to leave. We asked the Iraqi government to make sure that these people were protected, and we received assurances that they would do just that. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. There was a completely unprovoked attack in 2009. I'm sorry, 2011, mm-hmm. On the camp, which killed about 35 men, women, and children, wounded scores of others. And this was done by uniformed Iraqi military people who were, frankly, using our equipment to execute, I think, the will of the Iranian government. So that incident passed. I must say that I was disappointed in the fact that the international media didn't play it up for what it was. Mm-hmm. And then the Iraqi government decided, well, we can't leave these people in this camp, which they've been in for many, many years, and they wanted them to move to one of our former camps outside of Baghdad called Camp Liberty. Now, it's true that the U.S. government had carried this group and designated them as a terrorist organization going back in history.
Back to the Shah, right?
Back in history, but I can absolutely guarantee that most military leaders, U.S. military leaders, have said there is no indication that that's what their policy is. And as a matter of fact, the 10 principles that Mrs. Rajavi, who is the leader of the MEK now, lives under are completely democratic and have people like Lee Hamilton and Louis Freeh and former Attorney General Mike Mukasey and many other people really concerned that we are not more outraged by what's going on. Just a few weeks ago, the camp was rocketed. Now these are people who are unarmed, don't have any overhead shelter or anything else. They killed 6, the 7th one died, and about 100 people were wounded. And the UN Special Envoy, Martin Kobler, refused to go to the camp shortly afterwards to investigate it because he said it was too dangerous. This is not what the international community can tolerate from the Maliki government, in my view. And we have now 3,100 refugees living in the camp. And at Camp Liberty, they moved from Ashraf to Liberty under the understanding that the U.S. would delist them, which Secretary Clinton did.
Right, they're no longer a terrorist organization.
Correct.
Right, that was a big step.
It took a long time to do that, but it was the right thing to do. And then there was some guarantees that very quickly they'd be repatriated to third world countries. There have been more people killed at Camp Liberty in that last attack than have been repatriated. So I think it's incumbent upon the international community to do the right thing here and get those people out of that country and get them repatriated and let them get on with their lives. This is, I've said this before and I mean it, the people at Camp Liberty have a worse situation than the people in Guantanamo Bay. People in Guantanamo Bay get legal representation, they get medical care, they get visitors, they have due process, and they're attended to, even though they're prisoners, and most of them are terrorists. The people at Camp Liberty get no such thing from the Iraqi government, and I must say quite little support from the UN. And I think we should do something about that, and we should solve this problem now.